Story 1. AITA for recording my uncle so I don't have to visit my grandma. My parents got divorced a few years back. My mom had us on weekends, summer and Christmas. It was fine, but she had to move in with my crazy grandmother, and my brother and I complained all summer how we hated it. My dad said he could do nothing because of the court order, and we even complained to the judge about how we hated staying at my grandma. So we started taking videos of her religious shit and her yelling at us about chores, and my dad's lawyer acts like that wasn't enough to stop the visits to see my mom. Summer was awful and we hated it. Well, guess what? My uncle moved in with my grandma and mom, and he is out of jail and has to check him in with the police or something like that. It's not okay for my brother and I to forget to put up dishes and want to sleep in on Sunday, but it's okay for my uncle to smoke rocks in the house. And my grandma is like, mind your own little business, lol. My dad told us to record him next time he does it and send it to him right away, so we did. My uncle got arrested, and as of right now, we don't have to spend weekends with my mom. I was so happy. My mom is so upset, and my grandma, because my uncle is back in jail, and we don't even have to do Christmas as of now because my dad got an emergency interjection and the next court date isn't until February. My mom is upset because she doesn't get to see us at all because of our uncle, and my grandma is running her mouth saying she's not getting us gifts or anything after what happened to our uncle, and my mom had to tell my grandma to stop texting us because we just kept screenshotting those things. And my dad just sends them to the lawyer, showing them to the judge in February, saying, my granny is toxic as fuck. So unless my mom moves out, we don't have to be around her anymore.
In my opinion, he is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 2. AITA for asking my coworker not to eat her cultural food in the break room. I know how the title sounds, and I'm sure as you begin reading this post it'll sound worse, but please hear me out. I, 25F, have a wonderful coworker, 54F, who I get along really well with. This coworker is Nepalese and I am a white woman. In the past, she's been kind enough to bring in different food from her culture for us all to try. I have zero problem with her or anyone else bringing in food from their culture, and I've really enjoyed some of the dishes and sweets she's brought, especially the barfi she brought in earlier this year for Diwali. My workplace has lots of different cultures, and I usually don't care what anyone else brings to lunch, at least until this situation. A couple of weeks ago, I noticed a horrible smell in the break room that was incredibly strong. It was kind of like if you farted into a sweaty sock and stuck it to your face. It was honestly inescapable within the room, even after I changed the rubbish bin. I didn't know what it was, but ended up going outside and eating in my car. I figured it was just a one-off, but for every few days I'd smell it again. I genuinely had no idea where it was coming from. During this time I just ate outside the building, or in my car. However, one day I walked in, and it was somehow even stronger. This day happened to be a day I had the same break as Jane. I noticed she was eating a fruit and realized that's where the smell was coming from. I asked what she was eating, and she told me it was called durian. I think that's how it's spelt. And she had only recently found a good market for them. I said I was glad she was enjoying it, but mentioned that its smell was quite overpowering and left the room smelling afterwards. I asked her if she wouldn't mind eating it at home, or going outside as the smell really lingers in the staff room. She said she never really noticed the smell, but would do her best to do so. She seemed a bit annoyed, but hasn't brought it into the break room since. I was talking with a friend about this, also white, and she said I was behaving in a racist way towards my coworker, and it was wrong to police her cultural food. I argued that it wasn't a cultural thing, and I'd have done the same if someone was microwaving fish or another smelly food. This has caused a debate between us about if what I did was offensive, and while I do still think I was right, I am beginning to question if I could be viewed as in the wrong. So Reddit, am I the asshole?
I think she is an asshole. What do you think? Comment below. Story 3.
AITA for not coming home during the day to let my 23F boyfriend's 26M dog out while I'm trying to finish my thesis. My boyfriend of 3.5 total years, and I have been living together for 1.5 years now in an apartment with one other roommate. My boyfriend got the dog, 5M, around the time we met, and I love him. I take care of the dog every morning because my boyfriend doesn't wake up early enough, but we both leave for the day around 7:30 a.m. I'm in my third semester of my master's program, and my advisor expects a first draft of my thesis in 3 weeks so I can graduate on time in May. I work best in my office, where I have a second monitor and space to spread out research materials. I also have ADHD and take medication, so I'm most productive in long, uninterrupted blocks of time before evening hours. Previously, I could stay home late or come home early from school to help with the dog. My boyfriend's old job was only 15 minutes away from the apartment, so he could come home for lunch. And sometimes our roommate let the dog out at 3 p.m. Since October, my boyfriend started a new job 30 minutes away, and I'm now pulling 12-hour days with classes, teaching, grading, and my thesis. This has led to arguments about the dog's care. For example, today, Friday, I plan to work on my thesis all day in my office since I have no meetings, labs, or classes. However, as I was leaving, my boyfriend told me that I needed to at least come home once during the day to let the dog out. I reminded him that it takes me 30 minutes to commute each way, 15, 20 minutes of walking to my car plus 10-minute drive, and that I work best with uninterrupted blocks of time. He accused me of deliberately avoiding responsibility and said I should help because I had no other obligations. I told him that I am happy to take care of the dog when I can, but that he shouldn't expect me to take care of him more than I actually can. I already take the dog out every morning at around 7:15 a.m., but that leaves a long gap until our roommate comes home at 3 p.m. While I feel bad about that, I cannot afford delays in my thesis timeline. If I do not graduate on time, we'll have to renew our lease and might end up paying for 2 leases if I can't find a job in this city. I've been searching for months, and there aren't many options in my field here. I've talked to him about paying for a dog walker or paying our roommate to take him out every day, but he is strongly against those ideas, although he just got a raise. I think he sees this as a test of my commitment to the relationship, though we've both said we want to get married. The icing on the cake is that I've always wanted a cat, and my plan was always to get one after I graduated. However, he said that I can't get one. He expects me to take time out of my studies to take care of his dog, but yet won't let me get my own furry friend. So, AITA for refusing to come home during the day to take care of his dog while trying to finish my thesis? Edit to add, well, he got the dog before we met, and the first 2 years of us dating, we lived separately. When we got back together after breaking up 1.5 years ago, I started taking him out /feeding /walking him since we started living together. I think my wording of his dog makes it sound like I don't do anything for the dog. But in practice, I feel like I do contribute a lot towards the dog's health and happiness. My boyfriend never ever took him on walks, so when I started doing so, the dog totally did not know how to behave at all, lol. He wants to stop every 5 feet, chase bikers, try to bite people and other dogs. It's a lot to juggle him, lol, but I do it sometimes. I bought him a dog harness so he'd stop choking himself on the walks, etc.
I do not think she is an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 4. AITA for refusing to sell a portion of my father's estate and distribute the money to my brother before my father has died. My father has dementia, no longer lucid at all, and is living in a 24-hour care facility. His doctors say at this stage his life expectancy can be anywhere from 3 to 5 years. He knew this was coming, and he set his affairs when he still had a sound mind. He gave me power of attorney, and he made me the executor of his estate. The state laws here and the terms of my dad's power of attorney document gives me the power to sell or transfer anything. Effectively, I'm in complete and total control of his estate. I'm the youngest of 4, 2 older brothers and a sister, and there is a large age gap between me and my 3 siblings. I'm 18 years younger than my sister, who is the next youngest. Because of the age difference, we were never close. When my dad told all of us about his estate planning decisions, I could tell my siblings were really apprehensive about how much power my dad gave me. But I told them everything from that point. Our dad's estate would effectively be frozen. I'll find management companies to take care of his properties, and the money will go back into the estate for his care. I'm not selling anything, I'm not buying anything, and I'm going to follow our dad's wishes to the letter. When our dad passes, we'll divide up the estate according to his will. Everyone was happy with that. In my dad's will, he left my brother some property. My brother is now asking me to use my power of attorney to sell the property our father left to him and transfer the money to him now. He needs it to keep his business running while he bids for a big contract he says he can win, and that will allow him to keep the business running long term. He says the property will eventually go to him and he's going to sell it, so the end result is the same. It's just a timing issue. I refused, and reminded him that I promised everyone I wasn't going to sell anything or make any changes, and I'm not making any exceptions. He gets upset and calls me an asshole for holding up his inheritance, and an even bigger asshole because I will be screwing over all the people who work for him. But my dad is still alive. He's not dead, and I'm just not willing to go through his pockets while he's still breathing. My other brother agrees with me while my sister agrees with my brother. AITA.
Personally, I think that she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 5. AITA for deciding not to raise my 2-year brother. AITA for moving out when my mum told me I should help raise my 2-year-old half-brother. Hey Reddit, I'm 21F and currently a junior in college, working part-time and living at home to save on rent. My mum, 42, is a single parent who ended up with a surprise baby a couple years ago. I don't have any biological siblings myself, so this little guy is my first sibling experience. Recently, my mum sat me down and said that with everything going on, she really needs more hands on deck with the baby. She asked if I could start taking on a lot more responsibilities with him, like picking him up from daycare, helping with meals, and basically being a live-in babysitter. I told her that I already have a busy schedule with work and classes, and while I love my little brother, I'm not in a position to take on the role of a second parent. She seemed really hurt and said things like, "But family steps up for each other, and that since I'm the only other adult in the house, it's only fair I pull my weight." After a lot of thought and a little heartbreak, I decided to move out. I can afford a small apartment with a couple of roommates, but obviously money is going to be a lot tighter now. When I told her, she got really upset, saying I was abandoning the family when they needed me and that I'm being selfish. I'm torn because I feel bad about leaving my mum in a tough spot as she's always worked so hard to provide me the most. But I also feel like I didn't sign up to be a co-parent, and staying at home will really hinder my future. ATA for moving out?
In my view, she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 6. AIT for not giving back my finances, deceased grandmother's engagement ring. Throwaway account. I, 29 female, am engaged to Jake, 32 male. We have been engaged for 2 years. He has an older brother, Sam, 38. When Jake and I got engaged, Jake wanted me to have his grandmother's engagement ring. Jake talked to Sam, and Sam said since he doesn't plan to get married or have children that Jake should use the ring. I love that ring and love the sentimental meaning behind it. Sam met a wonderful woman, Hannah, within the past year, and they are expecting a child. Once they found out it would be a girl, Hannah told Sam she wants him to get the ring back for their daughter. Jake has already told Sam no. During Sunday dinner last weekend at my mother-in-law's house, Hannah brought up the ring and how it should be given to their daughter since she would a great-grandchild and I'm not related by blood. It became an intense discussion. Luckily, my mother-in-law also agrees with my fiancé and I. Hannah then asked if her daughter could have it in our will. I said no because it will either be given to our son or our future daughter. I told Hannah to take up her problem with Sam since he's the one who let Jake have the ring to give to me. Hannah ended up leaving the house crying. AITA?
In my opinion, she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below. Subscribe for more interesting stories.